Welcome back to Main Street Living show. Recently, the entertainment world suffered a sudden passing of Black Panther star Chadwick Boseman, and now an important basketball legend has left us.
I know it's so sad to talk about, and we're talking about John Thompson. And joining us now to remember the Hall of Famer in sports journalism, Kevin McNamara, is here, who wrote for the Providence Journal and interviewed John Thompson many times. So we really appreciate you joining us today on Main Street Living.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
So I know that John Thompson was the best known as the coach for Georgetown, right? But he was also a great player, wasn't he?
Well, it's funny that gets lost in the shuffle, Cheryl and Quincy. He was a great player at Providence College in Rhode Island in the early 1960s when the Friars won NIT championships in 1961 and 63. He left the school as the all-time leading scorer and scoring average player in Friar history when they had Hall of Famers like Lenny Wilkins, Ray Flynn, really, really good players. And then he went on and he was a backup center to Bill Russell on two NBA champion Boston Celtic teams. So had a really good playing career before he decided to go into coaching back in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, when he went into coaching, I mean, his legacy will live forever as a Georgetown coach because eventually his son started to coach as well. But talk a little bit about his time at Georgetown.
Well, when he was hired in 1973, Georgetown was not on the basketball map. This was before the Big East, before really Eastern basketball had a definition. And John Thompson instantly became a magnet for kids throughout the East and especially in that D.C., Virginia, Maryland area. And within 3 years, he had them in the NCAA tournament. And when the Big East was born in 1979-80, John Thompson was ready. And in 1981, he happened to secure the rights to the recruiting rights to the very best player in the country, the kid by the name of Patrick Ewing out of Cambridge, Massachusetts. And sure enough, Patrick led the Hoyas to great heights and went on to become a Naismith Hall of Fame player.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So John Thompson in the Hall of Fame. How does he rank with the greats of the game?
You know, John had a great coaching career. There's no two ways about it. The actual basketball part, he's best known for one of the very best defenses, aggressive, in-your-face, man-to-man, end-to-end defense with great rim protectors. Think of some of these big men that he had. Dikembe Mutombo, Patrick Ewing, Alonzo Mourning. All three are in that basketball Hall of Fame, and all three played under John Thompson at Georgetown. I'd say in that 1980s, mid-90s era, it's Dean Smith, it's Bobby Knight, and it's John Thompson. Those three probably a cut above everybody else.
Yeah, and John Thompson was very influential in a lot of the inner cities as well. And I know that he stood up for a lot of, inequality and racial discrimination. When you interviewed him, did he speak candidly about those experiences?
Oh, there's no question. He was known as Big John for a reason. He carried a big stick, 6'10", big guy, loud, leader. He protested before protesting was cool. The biggest thing was in 1990. He walked off the floor in protest of a new NCAA rule under discussion that was called Prop 48, where all incoming students had to have a certain SAT score in order to access a scholarship. And John thought that the ACT and SAT were racially biased, which 30 years later, I think everyone is accepting that that's the fact. Coach Thompson was certainly ahead of his time. And when he spoke, people listened.
Oh my gosh, I wish we had more time to talk about all of this, but our thoughts and prayers go out to his family and friends. And thank you so much for joining us today to share his legacy.
You're welcome. And I want to add my condolences as well. His son, John Thompson III, was a very successful coach at Georgetown as well. And God bless to his family.
Oh, all right. Thank you so much again. We appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Coming up on Main Street Living, we are talking about the return to some live sports, including football. Don't go away.